One of the reasons journaling is so important is because it gives us a different lens to view history, a more personal lens that we might be able to relate to a little bit more. Uh, Today, we're going to be talking about assembly centers, and temporary assembly centers were the first stop for most internees. 6 centers were established in California, Oregon, Washington State, and Arizona. Fairgrounds, racetracks, and other public facilities were pressed into service to handle the influx of Japanese Americans. Internees remained in these centers under the control of the Army's Wartime Civil Control Administration until the War Relocation Authority camps were ready. Mary Tsukamoto talks to us about her experience. And I will never forget, the train stopped and we got off and they put us on a big truck. It looked like one of those cattle cars. Anyway, we stood up because there were no chairs for us to sit on this pickup and crowded into this truck. They drove us to the Fresno Assembly Center. And when we got off there, they told us to get in, and there was the barbed wire gate and the MPs around there, and we had to go in through that gate. And after we got in there, we knew that the gate was shut. And so we saw all these people behind the fence looking out, hanging onto the wire and looking out because they were anxious to know who was coming in. But I will never forget the shocking feeling that human beings were behind this fence like animals. And we were going to also lose our freedom and walk inside of that gate and find ourselves cooped up there. And the police, the MPs with their guns, and some of them had bayonets. I don't know what they were going to do with it. If they thought we were going to run away, I guess. But anyway, when the gates were shut, we knew that we had lost something that was very precious, that we were no longer free. Conditions at the WCCA assembly centers were unsanitary at best. At Tanforan and Santa Anita, California, internees were housed in stalls, horse stalls, that only a week earlier had held horses. Sanitation, food service, and healthcare facilities were beneath the lowest U.S. Army standards. Many internees had to stay in assembly centers for several months before being moved to permanent camps. The mattress department was a stable filled with straw, and we were given bags of ticking. We were told to help ourselves to the straw. The few cotton mattresses available were reserved for the sick and the old. When we had finished filling the bags, the openings were sewed roughly together, and we carried the bags away. Mattresses. Another family recalls, the stall was about 10 by 20 feet and empty except for 3 folded army cots lying on the floor. Dust, dirt, and wood shavings covered the linoleum that had been laid over manure-covered boards. The smell of horses hung in the air, and the whitened corpses of many insects still clung to the hastily whitewashed walls. Yoshika Uchida. On warm days, it was unbearable in the stalls and barracks. The stench of manure returned with the heat, and this in turn brought back the horseflies. Most of the people remained outdoors on such days, and usually I did too, but there were times when I kept working inside. Later, by the order of the medical authority, all windows in the stalls were hinged so that they could be opened.